Have you ever wondered how your sales performance compares against your competitors and peers? The B2B Sales Benchmark Report provides the definitive guide to what success looks like in 2021. See how you compare in terms of win rate, sales cycle, average deal value, relationships, and engagement. You can see the results and get the full report at ebster.com/B2B-sales-benchmarks. This is Sales Ops Demystified, the #1 most downloaded podcast in sales operations. We invite the brightest minds in sales operations onto the show to deconstruct the why, what, and how behind rep productivity, forecasting, metrics, and all things revenue. This podcast is brought to you by Ebster, the leading customer engagement platform for Salesforce. Joined by Cornelia Klose, who I believe has up to 7 years experience in sales operations for
1 second.
Sure. For both Experian and now Mailjet. And so we're going to be running through standard questions. Cornelia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So
I have a little bit of an echo.
Yeah. Should be fine now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Now it's perfect. Look at the weather. So exactly, Tom. 7 years in sales operations.
Yeah.
Something that a job that when I started had a lot to do with finding reports. Creating reports, making sure the data quality in the CRM is fine, and this was pretty much it. Yeah. So I had the luxury, that I was already quite international. So this was my quality that brought me into sales operations, actually.
Interesting, because that's actually the first question is, how did you get into this?
Exactly. So I have studied and lived, the people that know me know that like almost everywhere. I also worked in London just after my studies in the Netherlands and France. Mm-hmm. So I always had, a quite international profile. And this actually helped me to get into my first sales operation job because it was a job for EMEA right away. Okay. So, in my first job in London had nothing to do with sales operations, but more business analyst. And because I guess they understood that I was quite good with data. They said, okay, the rest we can handle, and we will learn it to Cornelia. And so I got into sales operation job, and just after 1 year, I think it had a lot to do with something I didn't know at the time. Okay, but I had quite the soft skills for this job. Okay, and so I was quite successful, and I went up the ladder and became a more, let's say, strategic sales operation. Okay, for Experian, and this gave me a lot of insight. We had a big team also because it was an international company, and that was great. And then this is now my third experience as a sales operation. And as you probably have heard, from many sales operation people, it's always a different job, right? So it really depends on the maturity of the company, but also, what has already been set up before you come, or what is the purpose, for your arrival. And so now I'm more in a let's say, scale-up position. Exactly.
Cool. And what is the current tech stack?
We are not using Salesforce. Okay, I guess we're one of let's say the rare people that are not using Salesforce. And the funny thing is actually that we used to have Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
This was before my time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I changed it. Okay, this was a decision, more strategic decision, because the people were not ready yet for Salesforce. Okay, the company where it was in the maturity phase was not ready, and when I saw it, I also felt like it was like a Porsche. Okay, you have a beautiful Porsche for a Sunday afternoon, but you actually don't know how to drive it, right? So you just sit there and it's looking nice, and you could do all these things, but you don't know how to use it. Okay, so we now have a CRM that me as a German would call more like a Volkswagen. Okay, so it's solid, it's robust, it does its purpose. Okay, we have an integrator, so that's really cool, because we are I'm constantly talking to them, updating things, and our sales process until now was quite dynamic. Okay, so this was really cool.
You're managing the CRM, right?
No, I haven't. It's called it's Sugar.
No, but
Sugar.
you're perfectly managing.
Oh yes, exactly. So I'm the CRM administrator. Exactly. And I'm really happy because it's not only the sales team actually that is on the CRM, because we have also brought in the last 2 years our whole account management, so CSM, customer success management team on it. Mm-hmm. And also our marketing team, which for some, might seem very obvious, but they weren't there at the beginning. Okay, it was really a, let's say, forecast pipeline management tool. Mm-hmm. Okay, and now we see it more as the point of truth. Yeah. Okay, for many different departments. Exactly. So now we have the latest victory is the product team. Okay. And we also have now some administrative people in the as a license. They have a license to find to what I said. The point of truth is there. Exactly. And apart from this, we are using a Sales Navigator. We have a very big focus on outbound. And funny enough, we actually. All my sales team already had a Sales Navigator licenses, okay? But I wasn't really aware of, okay? So not all, but let's say 80%, okay? Mm-hmm. And it was actually LinkedIn who called me last year telling me this, Did you know that your team, I'm like, yeah, I know from some, and also they told me, and did you know that they're actually really good, And I'm like, no, you tell me, okay. Great, really good success story, because we then were able, with LinkedIn actually to be like in a pilot phase and to manage all the licenses, okay, and to be able then to see how the sales are using the tool, okay, mm-hmm. how active they are on LinkedIn, and where we can help. To maybe have better researches for people, have better post content, how to interact with the people. So this mm-hmm. is really great. Yeah, and apart from this, we are always testing some tools, but we haven't really found yet the best automation tool for emails, for example, or others. So it's really basic, like the Italian cuisine. Okay, 3 ingredients. It's the CRM, a Sales Navigator, and let's say Excel. Okay, or a Google Sheets, okay, to really put all the information together.
Yeah, so it's like the pasta, cheese, and egg in a carbonara, but when combined together, they're really, really good. I think we found the quote already for your podcast, Cornelia. Awesome. Okay, cool. So staying with the CRM, I assume you're probably responsible for data quality, being the CRM owner. What are your current sort of best practices for ensuring that you do have good data in the system?
Yeah, so sometimes I scream at them in German, it scares them. But no, joke aside, you are right. I'm the person that is responsible, okay, but I'm not the person that is actually accountable, okay. So when I say this, I mean that the sales team. And especially now, that more and more people are coming and looking into the data of our system, they understand that, okay, this is the point of truth, and the better I actually talk to the people, put the data and have this registered, the better actually they can then give me feedback, help me, etc. And I very often, when there is anything like a project or something that we focus on, I pull the data out of the CRM. Okay, and the sales team is a little bit worried, and says no, but this is not true. And then I tell them, okay, but this is what's in the point of truth, what's in the CRM. Okay, so we are really getting there to have a more data quality. Okay, also for the other teams, and then also tell the other teams, marketing and the CSM, to also enrich the data. So it's not just pulling, but they also have to generate the data quality. The eternal fight, between the marketing and sales, but this is one part. They are all accountable.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions on the chat. Two, what would you say, this is from Josh in our team, what would you say are the fundamentals of sales ops? Now, that's a very big question. And then the other question was from Jack. What are the key things to consider when building sales processes? Now, I'm not sure which one you want to tackle, and if you want to tackle them both now, but...
Sure. I mean, the fundamentals, there's lots of things, that I could say now. Okay, I will make it short, and I will put it to one metaphor, because I love metaphors. Okay. Yeah. And I'm thinking that, or in my opinion, the sales operation has to be, or how to say it now. Every business will create a business flow. If you let it flow, it's like a river. Okay, it will flow. It will find its way. Okay. Being a sales operation is creating like a canal for this river, okay? And in this way, it's you stop dead ends, you bypass things where maybe the river has some problems, okay, to flow, but also you make it quicker, okay? You make it more adaptable, okay? So because you can work on it better than on a pure normal working river, okay? It's more organized. Okay, so this is like one big thing of, and this is also for the sales process. Okay, so for the second question,
nice, yes. One metaphor, two questions.
Yeah, German efficiency. And in terms of the fundamentals, I think there are three things. When I started, I realized, and this is not to brag, okay, but you need a certain IQ, okay, you need a certain quotient because you have to think quite strategic, but you still have to understand already how you can implement this, into the business, etc. Okay, so this visionary but also detailed orientation, it's a key. So for the IQ, okay, and when I told you before, when I started and I was quite good, okay, in this job, and people told me, yeah, because you have such empathy, I realized, okay, the EQ is something that is really important in this job as well. Okay, so we have IQ and EQ, okay, and this is because not only you have to understand how the sales are working, how the client is thinking, why a sales process, why the buying center is so slow, or you have to put yourself in this position, but you also are constantly working like an ambassador, okay, to the other departments, to make them understand why the sales are doing what they're doing, why they need what they need, and vice versa, right? So you have to have let's say a certain rank of EQ, okay? And in the last years, and I think that's why also sales operation gets so important those last years, it's what, I don't know, but I think it's quite new. It's called the TQ, the technical quotient, yeah? You have to, the second question, right, you asked me was, okay, what are the tools you're using, And of course, I am the owner of those tools, right? I have to understand what's out there, how can we implement this in the sales process? What is working, what is not working, and the data is everywhere, right? The tools are, there's even more, okay? So it's really this, all these three quotients, that I think are important for this job.
Nice. Without getting sidetracked, we've touched on this already with your emotional intelligence, but how do you actually get the sales team to buy into, say, a new tool or a new initiative or process that you have implemented? How do you get them to want to do the thing that they might not have been doing before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm very, I come from a very compromising culture, right? So the thing is that I like to have their buy-in. Okay. So I'm using, and it's a French author. I don't know if you know him, but he wrote the Petit Prince, Exupéry, Saint-Exupéry. Don't worry. Don't worry, because he did a lot of nice books, but so I can't exactly give you the saying, but basically what it says, when you want that the people build a boat, okay, don't tell them where to find wood and give them tasks, but tell them about the beauty of the sea, okay? And so with this, to have this vision also in sales ops, right? Why do we need this tool? Why do we want to have this report? Why is it important that, it's really to give them the whole perspective, okay? Because they're often so busy, in there, especially now. I mean, it's the 27th of June, the quarter is finishing. I mean, you can imagine, how busy they are, how focused, and you sometimes, and this is the beauty of the sales operation, right? You have to show them why we do this, okay? So in terms of new tools, we are a very dynamic company, okay? And so I am lucky that because of this buy-in approach, okay, I have I do my testings, okay, on different business units, okay. So for example, in my German team, I'm working on this project, and in my Spanish team, I'm working on this project, and so it's not the whole implementation, and we're changing the structure right away, although we don't have any feedback yet, okay. So we're working in let's say in smaller, A/B testing groups, okay, and my team is also very open to feedback, okay. So they're sharing a lot. We have specific calls for those kind of projects, okay, where they exchange what's working, what's not working. Would it be working in your country? I don't know. Let's see, etc. And so, if we find something that is working well, okay, we then can expand, and we already have the buy-in from the sales, and it's not, let's say, the management coming and telling them, hey, you have to do this, but I'm like, here, talk to my German salesperson that actually tried it, and what he's saying. So this is how we're working, yeah.
Just for context for audience, how many salespeople in what countries do you currently have at Mailjet?
Yeah, so I have to tell you, I can't. We are between. Let's say I can't give you the right number. Okay, I don't want to. But between 15 and 30. Okay.
Cool. Okay. Between 4 different locations, did you say?
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Cool. Nice.
As you can see, we're dynamic. I have to count again. We opened last year another entity, and Yeah, and it's actually also something, the reason why I came was to scale these processes and the team, and we doubled actually since I've been there. So
nice.
Yeah.
How, as you've doubled the team size, how have you been onboarding these reps?
So one thing that is really cool, and and that's the thing with sales operations, it really depends on the company. Okay, I am involved in the recruitment. Okay, so I am because I have the strategy and I have the system. You need the staff, right? So because I have all these three in terms of sales operation, I'm closely involved in the recruitment. Okay. So I already know the people, I already know how we can onboard them, etc. And then we have an onboarding week, okay, that is organized where they touch every person, every department, okay, and have the introduction with the people that are working there, because we have a lot of satellite offices, okay. So connection, relationship is really important because there's a lot, digital communication going on afterwards. Okay, so we do this and we bring them to the headquarters, and they get, if possible, a buddy, okay, in the sales team to help them, because I am the operations person, right? So there's other things, that they don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's just the daily life, right? I follow them the first 2 months, even if it's just 15 minutes call, but it's a daily call, and then it turns into a bi-weekly call, so because there could be questions, that they come up later, etc. And one thing that actually is really cool, and that also, let's say, helps us a lot to motivate the people, is that we have an annual award of the fastest signature after arrival. Okay, so This is really for our rookies, because we want to have them up to speed ASAP, also, right? But we calculate, since they are there. And when they do their first signature, and
what was the fastest? Like, what time?
The record is on 22 days.
That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then once these people are onboarded, how do you then make these reps more productive?
Yeah. So more productive is. It's kind of how we implement the processes, right? It's a very let's say local testing, and then implementing it, because we have the luck that we're a dynamic company, right? And with this, of course, it also means results have to come quick, right? But we can adapt, and I think the people, that the salespeople also, in terms of a mindset, that we are searching, are also aware of this, okay, and are open to this. So I have this luxury, but it's very often, we exchange a lot with the teams. Mm-hmm. Because we have these different cultures, and sometimes it's not working at all because it's different cultures, and sometimes it's exactly this that makes a difference to a local competitor, or a very global competitor that only has one way to go to serve all. Okay, so yeah.
That's quite interesting. So you've had like a process that was working really well, let's say in France. And then you tried to implement the same process, let's say in Spain, but then it wasn't quite working. Now, due to a cultural difference. Can you share like an example of, if you have one, of like the cultural difference that was actually making that change? Because it's quite interesting, right? These people who actually live relatively close are so different that a process would work in one place but not the other.
For France and Spain, I don't have an exact example now. Okay, but we tested, for example, outbound tools. Okay, to have phone numbers, etc., to talk directly to people. This is working, very well in the States. Okay. But we have other countries where where it's not working at all. Okay. And so we have to find another way. And so, it's as a global sales operation manager, right? Because this is my my title. I'm always trying to, when I say about the kennel, and another metaphor is that I'm giving them a frame. Okay. I'm giving them the frame, so they're feeling comfortable about the sales process. Okay. But if, for example, the Spanish salespeople, are up there in this right corner, and the German salespeople are down there in this left corner, because of cultural differences, and also maybe because of their profile, etc. Right? But as long as I keep them in this frame, I know that the salespeople will go through. Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. So it's almost like different points in the canal as they're going down, and maybe they're going at slightly different speeds, and they're like on different sides of the canal. Great, cool. One more question here from Hussein. As an ambassador, what would be your advice to build relationships with your sales team, and how do you manage different personalities within that same team?
Good question. So I think one thing is that you have to be present. Okay. And it's honestly, and I've seen this in I can say now in my 7 years of experience, but it's not just going over, being there for one day, having meetings with the team and then going back. Or let's say it is not working if you don't have a regular relationship with them, okay? Because, this is not their daily life when you come over, right? When you come over, everything is clean, they come clean at 8:30, they're there, and it's not, it's maybe not what the daily life looks like, okay? And this, their pains, etc. This is only when you talk to them, and honestly, I mean, I have my team everywhere, right? So it's not that it's time consuming, but it's something that you have to do regularly, right? And this is something that is important, I think, to create this relationship. Be present. Yeah. And managing the different personalities within the same team. I think it's exactly the same with the frame of the sales process, right? There is a specific, let's say, company rules, right? Things that are no-goes, etc. But staffing is important. Okay.
Sure.
I think you have also seen in let's say the last year or so, more and more people that explain how the CV doesn't matter anymore, and please don't tell me what all the things you've done, tell me where you want to go, tell me your vision, tell me what gets you up in the morning and why, and tell me your fears and when selling, for example, or etc. So it's more about the mindset than about where you come from, okay? But more where you want to go. And I think if you have those kind of people, it's also it's working better for you in the future.
Got it. Moving on to KPIs, what are you currently tracking for those different reps and teams?
Yeah, so in terms of KPIs, we are tracking forecast and forecast accuracy. And we're the first to make mistakes because we're also human.
Yeah.
No joke. We had a forecast accuracy that was awful. And we wondered why, and the reason was that we actually had this forecast accuracy for months, okay, and not for the quarter. And we are now extending this, to give the sales more freedom, okay, but also give them more accountability, okay. So it's not just didn't work, and then at the next month at the beginning it's for some reason that nobody knows, it's again at zero, and it takes again 30 days, right, to sign. So so we extended this this forecast and forecast accuracy. Okay. We do a lot. We track a lot about outbound activity because this is for us really the key. We had some luxury, of having a lot of inbounds. Okay. And with this, actually we realized, okay, we need to do more on the outbound side also to find our ideal customers, because most of the time, unfortunately, they don't come through an inbound, right? And so we track this, big activity there. We're not really tracking pipeline conversion, okay? And also, and I will probably make some enemies here, but I'm not really a fan of weighted pipeline.
Okay, cool. Why?
Because for me, it's a finance KPI. Because when you are in sales, okay, either I win or I won't. It's not 90%, or 75% that will then come in. It's winning or losing. Okay, so having this weighted pipeline to do the forecast is not working in my opinion.
And if you had to choose one out of those KPIs to judge your reps by, what would you choose?
I would say forecast accuracy. How they manage their pipeline, how good they are in forecasting, is not how good they are committing, means how well they know their clients, the prospects, the buying cycle. I had not often, because I got a little bit. I questioned this, let's say it this way, but people that were already almost at the end, of the signature. And all of a sudden, it turned out that, I just got an out of office reply. The guy is on holidays for 2 weeks, and I'm like, come on, this is not possible. That shows me you don't handle it. Okay. Yeah. You have to know all this, and I don't mind if it's going, in the next month, if you already tell us, because of the holidays, etc. So I would say forecast accuracy is something where you see a lot of different KPIs in it. The data quality, right? How much do we actually sell? So is it 30K or all of a sudden 90K, and everybody is, the forecast accuracy above 150%, and you're like, yes, but this wasn't, what was forecasted. So there's a lot of KPIs that you can cover with this one, I think.
Got it. And final question, who has taught you the most that you know about sales operations?
Yeah. So in the last, I would say in the last year, I have met a lot of sales operation people. And because, I guess a lot of people have the same issue as me, that I'm all alone. Like, who can help me? The sales are having their position, the sales managers having their position, but as a sales operation, right? So I was seeking a little bit of also what's out there. Yeah. And in this way, I found a lot of really interesting people, all with different backgrounds, from finance, from marketing, from sales, in different companies, where sales operation is defined differently. Okay. And so I have to tell you, Tom, until now, I haven't found the one person that knows it all, like the guru, of sales operations, because it just can't exist for the moment. I think it's still the time to explore, and companies create sales operation positions, in the scale up phase, where they maybe should already create at the very beginning, to be there, one of the first people, etc. So there's lots of people, that I met. I can't give you one person, I would love to create like one person, so yeah. I think we have to have more meetups. We have to have more, let's say, sales operation awards or annual meetings, where people can actually exchange, because there's so much out there.
We have one final question from Hussein. What would be the best quality to have as a sales ops person?
One, yeah.
Just one single quality.
Just one single. This is a tough one, but because you have to be so multiple, in sometimes you have to be very strict, very strict, where sometimes you have to understand, okay, now this is not the moment or the project to be this strict, you have to be more flexible, right?
Flexibility.
But I wouldn't, maybe it's flexibility, because as well, it covers a lot, to be to have, sometimes being patient, very patient, and sometimes being pushy, right? So flexibility would probably cover it all. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, now let me pick out a few things. I obviously really like the Italian food metaphor, comparing Italian food to the current Mailjet tech stack. Simple but effective,
and good, huh?
And good, really tasty. And then also the canal analogy, both for the sales operations role in a business, but also for an analogy for the sales process itself. Constantly working like an ambassador is what I've written here, but I can't actually remember what I was referring to. And then finally, I have this written down, but I can't read my writing. No, this is my number one. Not telling the salespeople how to build a ship, like where to find the wood, like how they should build it, but talking about the beauty of the sea. And I think that's such a good metaphor to get people to do something that's good for you and good for them. Exactly. So that's probably that. I really, really like that one. So Cornelia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And I hope we answered your questions. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sales Ops Demystified podcast. If you are listening on a podcast listening application, then please subscribe, rate, and review. And if you have any questions about the show, if you know a guest, or if you have any questions about sales operations, just hit me up at tomhunt@ebster.com. That's tomhunt@ebster.com.